All right, this is the start of our second part episode with Bryce Simon. If you haven't listened to the first part, head over there to the last episode. That's our entire first, I believe it's the first 32 minutes of our conversation. Make sure you watch that first part before you get to this second part. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys over there. Enjoy it. It was a lot of fun recording with Bryce. I always enjoy having him on the podcast, but I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Check out the last episode. Appreciate you guys.
I'm giving him the full season, to be clear. Like I'm going to give him the full season because here's my thing is we can't complain about the last couple of years of this team and then act like these guys had opportunities to grow and improve and get better. We can't say last year was a dumpster fire coup and then be mad that Jalen Duren didn't get better from his rookie to his sophomore year when he was playing in a dumpster fire. So I'm willing to give him this year. And I will say this, I've seen just enough flashes on the defensive end. There's some weak side rim protection we have never seen from Jalen
Yep.
Duren until this year. And there are times offensively where I'm like, okay, that was interesting. Attacking guys off the bounce and the passes. Obviously, he's very efficient and he rebound. All of the stuff we know. I still have some hope, but it's going to take consistency, that focus, that intensity. And I just think that Tuesday night is a great barometer, a judge of, okay, you know what? Brooke Lopez gets you the first time. I can live with it. Even Vooch gets you. I can live with it. But you can't let it happen again in an NBA Cup game whenever everybody's watching because it's finally an exciting, meaningful game. I want to see improvement from him tomorrow. And I'll be the first to give him credit if he comes out and Lopez is 1 of 4 from 3 and all of that because he does a great job. If it's the other dude's fault that they lose because they're helping too much, whatever, I want to see JD lock in and say, no, you're not picking and popping on me. You're not getting trail 3-point attempts on me. I am shutting this down.
The what my thoughts are on Duren and the whole situation, and not even so much Duren. It's what I've seen, and then we'll transition into the cup game and wrap up the podcast. But I don't even know if I. It may not be it may not be a total negative. What I'm about to say, it's more so of a you're getting information that you need to get anyways. And to me, it's that JB, it seems, has really limited Jalen Duren's role to being that of a rim rolling lob threat and an interior defender. And to me, what that says to me is if that's the player you want, you shouldn't want Jalen Duren then. Like is my thing. Like if Jalen Duren, what makes him a tantalizing prospect is his ability to ball handle in the half court, his playmaking, the ability to run DHOs from the high post, take guys off the dribble from the high post, having that type of usage. But they haven't really done that. They've really just made him listen. You're going to get lobs and dump offs. That's it. You're going to get lobs, dump offs, and we want you to defend in the middle. If you want that, then like there's probably like 30 guys in the league better at just doing that, but that's not supposed to be what separates Jalen Duren. So that's the concern for me: is this role that the team wants? Is that even a role that fits Jalen Duren? Is that really the role that you want Jalen Duren doing? He has it's close to a career low usage rate, but by far career high turnover percentage. He's turned the ball over way higher clip. I just don't feel like they're really either JB doesn't trust him enough offensively, or that's not the type of big they want offensively. And either one of those gives me questions about, okay, how do they really see him moving forward then? Are they trying to push him into that role? And can he actually be pushed into that role?
That's a really good point because I know my excitement about him coming out of college was this kind of versatile offensive player, maybe even, I don't know about hub of the offense, but you could run the
Right,
offense through
right.
him a little bit. I don't remember the exact game, but I remember there was a game where he got to do that a little bit more. And we all commented on how that was his best rebounding game and the most active he was defensively. I know people don't like to hear this. Anybody who's played basketball knows that whenever you get to touch the basketball and play
You're
the
going to
way
be more engaged.
you're going to be more engaged. It's human nature. People don't want to hear it, but it's the truth. It was true about me. I'm sure it was true about you. It's true about just about every player that it's why when you watch a Clippers game, they run the first play of the game for Ivica Zubac. It's like, hey, we're going to throw you. The Minnesota Timberwolves will run a post action for Rudy Gobert on the first play of the game because then they know they're never going to give it to him again and they want him to go play defense. Like it is part of it. And I think sometimes it's like people think it's easy to change your mentality as an offensive player. It's not that easy. Like if JD sees himself as a certain type of player that plays with the ball in his hands a little bit and stuff, it's hard to change that. So in some ways, I feel for him. I'm not excusing it, but I kind of can understand it. And to your point, if Detroit, if Trajan and JB don't see him as that player, then maybe it's not here in Detroit that his future lies.
Yeah, it's just again. I think this is going to be an interesting thing to follow. It's just if they're not going to use them like that, I really just want to see what they're going to do, especially if the team continues to look this much better with Stu on the floor. I think that's what's raising even more comfortable conversations too, because it's like you can clearly see that like they've looked better with Stu. So if you're not playing Stu more, then people start to question, well, are you actually trying to win? Because it's like it's just like it's the best case scenario is JD really puts it all together defensively and comes through. But so far through the first quarter of the year, I'd say it's been inconsistent at best.
Real quick, one other negative. I don't think we don't have to like dive into it, but I don't think we can get out of this without at least mentioning the turnovers, right? Like
Yeah.
Cade is still right under 5. JI is at 3. You mentioned Jalen Duren. I mean, even Stu's over 1, which is like, I mean, what is he doing?
You don't want any low usage players averaging over a turnover a game.
Exactly. So, they're 26 in the NBA in turnover percentage. So I at least wanted to mention it. I didn't want people to be like, oh, they, don't even bring this up after, critiquing all of this other stuff. Yes, I think everybody would agree that the turnovers kind of across the team, across the board, are an issue that still needs to get figured out.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Cade's starting to get a little better with it. We saw the same thing last year where he started off really bad with the turnovers and kind of cleaned it up as the season went on. I think you'll start to see some of that. But I also think they could be helped out. Him and Ivy could really be helped out by someone else taking some of the playmaking burden off of them. I think they've really been asked to do everything in the half court for the team, and they don't really have I mean, I've talked about it so many times in the podcast. The fact that they haven't gotten like a third point guard or like a third ball handler, I just don't get it. It kind of confuses me, but the turnovers definitely is going to be a big reason why their offense continues to fall down as well. If they want to get higher offense, they need to stop turning the ball over as much, and stop giving the other team easy opportunities in transition as well. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Prize Picks invented the flex pay, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Then let me tell you about another one of our sponsors, Game Time. I'm a procrastinator. I wait till the last second with just about everything, and it screws me over when it comes to purchasing tickets. But with Game Time, it absolutely saves me, because Game Time has last minute deals all the way up to the last minute of the event, and sometimes even after the event has already started. Again, for someone like me, that is absolutely big time. Another big thing for me is I can see the view from my seat from within the app. I don't have to wait till I get to the event to know if I purchased the right tickets, if I got the right seats. I know right within the app before I purchase it whether these seats are for me. You also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Can I give you a theory or a thought? At least what I would like to see. I want to see Asar do it. I don't know if this is.
I would love that.
I don't know if this is their thinking. I don't know if they see him that way. I think it was the last game, yeah, on Saturday where he did a little bit of it. I thought he looked okay. I I'm more okay. I haven't been as big of an advocate for a third point guard because I want to see Asar and some other guys and see what they can do with those reps. And so if that costs them some games, I'm okay with that. But again, I still have a little bit better of an appetite for some losses based on learning and growing and evaluating than maybe some others do. But if bringing in a third point guard means we don't even get to see Asar do it at all, then I don't want to see the third point guard. I would rather see Asar fail at it than a third veteran point guard come in and succeed at it. I know that's not a popular thought process, but that's still where I'm at with where this team is at.
I actually agree with that. I just hope that if they're actually going to do it, I agree with that. If
Fair.
he's as long as he's not going to be spotted up in the corner, and that's like that. If you're actually going to do it, I agree with that. And I did a film breakdown on my personal YouTube channel at Kuka Hill. You can there's multiple plays where you're seeing him push it in transition and get open shots for Cade or Jane Ivey. There's even a half court possession when he ran the offense and it allowed Marcus Sasser to play off the ball, and Sasser gets a wide open wing three because he's not having to create the offense. He's more in the spot where he fits best. So I do think that would be a good way to make use of or make use of your roster and give as much ball handling as you can on the court.
Real quick, it makes Asar better offensively, right? It makes him more of a threat. A non-shooter in the corner isn't much of a threat. When he has the ball in his hands, you have to guard him because he has the ball in his hands. And so I would love to see the creativity of this, letting him. I think he can at least initiate offense and then do some fun stuff with Cade and or JI off the ball. Listen, I still want to see him in some ball screen, short rolls and stuff like that also, but I think he can take some of this. And I will be disappointed if through the next 60 games he stays healthy and we don't see a decent sample of him doing this in the second unit.
Hey, listen, everyone knows I've been huge on Asar, man.
Yeah.
He played point guard at OTE, man. You draft him because you believe in that ball handling. If you don't believe in it, you don't draft him 5. They drafted him 5. Give him some damn ball handling, and they have. They have.
Trajan didn't draft him 5, so
fair, but you get fair enough. But you get my point. You get my point.
I get you. No, I get you.
All right. Okay. So let's move into the big game. We're at 43 minutes. So let's get into it. They are playing. I believe you mentioned this to me before we started recording. What might be the biggest game since you started covering the team? Is that true?
So what I wrote, this will go out on my Substack tomorrow. I'm actually doing a game preview. This is the first game preview I've ever done on the Substack. Usually it's just like analysis after the game, post-game stuff. I said, I do not think it is hyperbole to say this is the most significant regular season game the Pistons have played since I have, quote unquote, covered the team. This was December 2020 is when I started, and I'm fascinated to see how they perform. I think it's true. Like, I don't think they played a more meaningful regular season game in terms of, does it matter whether they win or lose this game? Like, maybe you could argue stopping the streak last year or something like that. But to me, this is a real meaningful basketball game where the other team cares as well. I think that's important. And you're playing for something at stake. If you go win the NBA Cup, you make more money. Like, these players care about that. So I'm fascinated, to see how JB coaches it and how these players play in it, the strategy, all of that. I'm excited just to watch it and evaluate it.
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest game since you've been covering the team. And it's definitely the biggest game since this rebuild has started. I would say it's probably the biggest game they've played since 2018, 2019 with Blake Griffin. This is the first time they are playing meaningful games. And like you mentioned, the biggest point is the other team will care just as much as them. It's not like maybe the Lakers earlier in the year where the Lakers don't really care about the Pistons and the Pistons care a lot about being the Lakers. This game, the Bucks really want to win. They would like to move on. Like, they care about this like the Pistons do. So this is going to be a huge, huge big time game. And if the Pistons could pull this one off, this would be the biggest win since that 2018-2019 season. That would be. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA and get on your way to being your best self. How do you stay cozy during the winter months? For some, wrapping up in a blanket with a mug of hot chocolate or watching a movie with the family is the best way to spend the month of December. therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season's starting to change. Again, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. My goodness. Find comfort this December with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Again, BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month with BetterHelp. Fantastic for him. What I'm watching for, and I'll let you bring up what you're watching for. We can wrap it up. But what I'm watching for is how they decide to guard pick and rolls. Are they going to switch across the board? Because at first they tried going drop. They went through 5 different defensive coverages in the first half last time against the Bucks. They tried going drop, but then they weren't recovering quick enough on Brook Lopez pops. So that wasn't working. Then they tried going switch across the board, but then they were obliterating switches with guards underneath the rim and Duren on guards. So then they try having weak side rotate and having the drop defender go to the opposite corner. Then they couldn't get the rotations right with that one. They were trying everything in the book to make it work, and they just couldn't find anything to work. So I want to see how they want to defend pick and rolls against Brook Lopez, and do they play more Isaiah Stewart and just go switch across the board to avoid giving up threes. You may give up twos and some mismatches, but if you go switch across the board with Stu at 5, you should be taking away the easy pops for Brook Lopez. That shouldn't be happening.
So the first thing I want to bring up is, remember who did and did not play in this game for both teams. No Ivey, no THJ, no Fontecchio, no Asar for Detroit, and Stu got ejected whenever he pulled down Giannis, which I think was very impactful. The Bucks didn't have Dame or Bobby Portis. So we are going to see a little bit of a different game. We know this one into overtime. We all remember, the Pistons had a huge 20-point lead. It evaporated in the third quarter. Bucks take the lead. I gave the Pistons a lot of credit for fighting back after that. Obviously, Ron Holland misses the 2 free throws, and then they can't find it in overtime. So a couple things to look at here. We mentioned turnovers, right? Always a huge talking point for the Pistons. The Bucks are not a team that forces a lot of turnovers. So this should be a game where the Pistons get a shot on every single possession. So they got to go out. They got to take care of the ball. And we've seen this team struggle against good offensive rebounding teams. That is not the Bucks. So this is where you can steal possessions. You can make sure you win the possession game. Don't turn it over against a team that doesn't force turnovers, and don't give up offensive rebounds to a team that doesn't get a lot of offensive rebounds. That gives you a chance. And then to me, it comes down to Cade and J.I. They don't have the perimeter defenders to stop those dudes. Those two need to have a big night. And watch early. Cade had an inefficient 35 against this team. I think Brook Lopez surprised them with his rim protection. We know what Giannis can do. They may have to settle for some floaters and those type of things as opposed to getting all the way to the rim in this game, or Cade just shooting the 3-pointers off the ball screen. He was 5 of 10 in the last game. Would love to see him be aggressive off the pull up from 3.
All right, my final question for you concerning this game is this. Who do you think Asar Thompson guards?
So this was interesting because in a 2-minute span, I had somebody be like, yeah, Asar will be back to guard Giannis. And then somebody else is like, Asar will be back, can take the Dame matchup. I think it's Dame. I think you put him on Dame and use his length, and just, if nothing else, maybe he can take Dame out. And then if Giannis goes for 45, maybe you keep everybody else down and you just say, we're not giving the Lopez threes. We're not letting Dame go crazy. We're going to take away the 3-point shooting of AJ Green and Bobby Portis and those guys. And so I think it's Dame. I think he matches up better with Dame actually than Giannis is just so physical. I think it's Dame.
Yeah, I completely agree. I put him on Dame, and now I'm putting Stu or Duren on Giannis, and I'm tempting the Bucks to try to go to Brook Lopez all the time with mismatches. If that's the offense they want to go with, then I'll live with it. If they want to go to the problem with that is that he might dominate on the offensive boards then. Brook Lopez, sure. That is, if you put Tobias on him. That's the one concern. But I think the Pistons just aren't big enough to have equal matchups across the board against this team. I think the only thing you can do, you can put Asar on the ball against Dame. You put Stu or Duren on Giannis. You put Tobias, or I think it has to be Tobias at that point. You put Tobias on Brook, and then you have Cade and J.I. guard the other guys. and then
Yep.
you help strong. You help strong on Giannis drives, or maybe you just let him dominate you. You just let him dominate you, and you just try to shut everyone else off. Problem with that, though, I think Giannis is having his best year by far on pull-up mid-rangers.
Yeah.
I saw a stat the other day how well he's shooting on middies this year. Like, whew,
Yeah.
good luck on anybody stopping him if Giannis is going to be shooting like that off the dribble like that.
Yes.
Like, good luck.
Yep.
But
Yes.
all right, so predictions. We'll wrap up the podcast after this. Do the Pistons win? Yes or no?
Yes, let's do it. Let's stay positive. Let's get some more meaningful basketball with the whatever it's the knockout rounds or whatever they call it. I'm going yes. This team has answered the bell after poor performances. We saw a poor performance. I think they've been loading up for this game. 2 days off. Listen, if they don't win, I won't be disappointed. If they get blown out, I will be disappointed. I expect a good performance from this team. I'm just going to keep the positive vibing and say they get a win and they get into the knockout stage.
I'm predicting now. I'm saying I may look stupid in 24 hours. It is what it is. But I'm going to predict that the Pistons win and we get a big Cade game to get them to the next round. That's what I think is going to happen.
I'm all in.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, Bryce, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. You can find Bryce over with his podcast, The Pistons, also with Omari Sankofa, and also his podcast with Sam Vicini. You can also follow him on Twitter at Motor City Hoops. I appreciate you, Bryce, for coming on, man. I appreciate all of you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Until next time, peace out. And again, stay safe out there.